This is the Tennessee State Museum's new building, opened in 2018, 201 years after the first public museum was opened up in the state. As you can see, it's built alongside Bicentennial Park, which I've shown in some of my other videos, and right across from it is the Tennessee State Library and Archives. This is a great place to put the Tennessee State Museum since Bicentennial Mall already boasts a lot of information about Tennessee state history. And while the outside of the building is a little drab, the inside is pretty beautiful with a lot of natural light coming in and a view of the Nashville skyline. The museum holds some temporary exhibitions, but what me and Destiny saw when we went was their permanent timeline exhibition. The Time Tunnel, as it's called, runs through several different exhibitions, going from the natural history of prehistoric Tennessee to the First Peoples, then to Revolutionary and Pioneer days, onto Civil War and Reconstruction, turn of the 20th century, Great Depression, World Wars, and then ending with a section called Tennessee Transforms, which is just kind of a catch-all place for anything post-1940s. I appreciated the First Peoples section because while I've grown up in Tennessee, I don't know a ton about the specifics of the indigenous people who lived here. Along with different artifacts and recreations of artifacts, they have this very helpful map which lays out not only First Peoples communities in Tennessee, but also a timeline of how those populations shifted and changed. Of course, it wouldn't be a museum without creepy pictures of children. These aren't so bad, but I really hate these fellas up here. Why is she only wearing one shoe? And why do they have the same face? Of course, a museum like this is especially targeted towards educating kids, and so I was really happy to see that they have a fair amount of interactivity around. Gunpowder.
That's a must.
Honestly, if we're doing the Oregon Trail thing, this is all you need.
That's it.
Do you feel like we'll succeed on the trail?
I mean, probably not.
There are no spare parts for the wagon, which concerns me. Not every section has interactivity, but what they do have is fairly varied. So how much?
$5 an ounce.
Okay. One chicken.
10 cents. You know, I was close.
What about the whiskey?
Whiskey. That's going to be a pig that is pregnant.
Oh,
or
pregnant pig.
35 cents.
All right.
Okay.
No livestock. That's a little disappointing. Now, how many chickens do we get for one egg? The largest section of the museum is the Civil War and Reconstruction period. And I'm really glad that they didn't whitewash over some of the harder truths about Tennessee's history. There's this whole section about the Memphis Massacre in 1866, where some freed African Americans clashed with the police and many African Americans were killed. I'll leave a link in the description to an article so that you guys can learn a little bit more about that. A lot of my attention was turned to the early 20th century, where we saw things like this radio made out of a Quaker Oats can. There's also a temporary gallery that bridges the last two sections, which displays a lot of art that was made within Tennessee. This was probably my favorite room, and this painting in particular was one that really stuck out to me. It's called Night Wind Over Tulsa, and it was painted here in Davidson County by Marilyn Murphy. Murphy continues to work today and actually teaches here in Nashville at Vanderbilt University. And I love the magical surrealism of this painting, a purely grounded space, but the way the wind is kicking up these pages just makes it seem like there's a lot more going on than what you see on the surface. Also, there's this jacket, which I want this jacket. If anyone can make me this jacket, I will give you a reasonable sum of money. And then we head into the Tennessee Transformation section, which is an interesting mix of a bunch of different things. This actual photo right here, I think, kind of encapsulates it. It's an old style movie marquee, which you may expect to see in like the 60s, but it's advertising Ice Age 3 and Transformers 2, which meant that I was very much alive when this picture was taken. And that's kind of the whole room. It's a bunch of retro stuff mixed in with the modern day. And while it is paired off into sections like this with a bunch of sports memorabilia, including this very cool original Predators jersey, it also can feel a little bit random at times. However, I did have a lot of fun in this section. Now, because this came in at the end of the museum and we were a little bit ready for lunch, we did kind of rush through this section. However, this is a free museum, so I'm definitely going to come back and go into each of the sections more in depth, and especially this one. Overall, I really enjoyed my time at the Tennessee State Museum. I definitely learned some stuff, especially about pre-colonial Tennessee, and I love how the museum sits alongside a larger piece of Tennessee's history. So, friends and fellow VEDSies, I'll be back at you with another museum on next Monday and with another video tomorrow.